Hi there, this is Billy Earl here on Delmarvalous Americana. You can find us on Pack 14 in beautiful downtown Salisbury, Maryland, as well as Delmarvalous Americana on YouTube. We are also available on NPR on WSDL 90.7. This show takes a look at those people who live and breathe and eat art and music. Make sure and go to Delmarvalous Americana House Concerts on Facebook for a schedule of those live music shows here in Salisbury, Maryland. Enjoy, adios, and namaste. Wes Davis is our guest today here on Delmarvalous Americana. Welcome and enjoy. Namaste. If you want to hear the songs that we're talking about today, go to Delmarvalous Americana on YouTube. Gracias. And now for some favorite Wes Davis songs here on Delmarvalous Americana. Don't turn that dial.
Somebody hold me, somebody please. I am just now emerging from a prison cell. Never knew I could leave, nobody told me. Or could it be that I was simply never really listening? Seems so hard to believe all was forgiven, it was over, and I was allowed to go free, to begin living in the open, where all of the fears that had bound me for years are now fading away from me. Amnesty. I see before me a world in chains. It's bound by stubborn memories held in bitter hearts. Settled scores to be won, the same old story. A curse remains, but I won't stop believing that for mercy's sake it can still be undone. Can you envision starting over, where all are allowed to go free, to begin living in the open, where all the times we had counted the crimes are now only a memory? Amnesty. Where all of the times we had counted the crimes are now only a memory. Amnesty.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tune. When you're sitting down getting ready to write a song, what are you thinking about?
Well, it's a lot of times it's I'm sitting either with a guitar or sitting at the piano, in my case, my electronic keyboard, and just messing around with chord progressions and melodies. Every now and then it'll start with an idea, a concept, a phrase. You know, sometimes a phrase I think is a good turn of phrase that would work well for a song. But it's usually the music that's finished first, and then the music usually evokes a feeling that then informs my songwriting, rather than coming up with a story for lyrics and then coming up with music to match it. For me, it always just starts with the feeling of the music.
Okay.
And so, which is there's pros and cons to that, but that's kind of how I do it.
Well, whatever it is you're doing, it's working. What's the next song you'd like us to listen to?
Well, let's see. Trying to remember what you've got there. There's a song I sent you called "Open Me,"
Uh-huh.
and I actually did that with a friend of mine, Mick Hensler in Salisbury. Just a real simple piano and voice, and he had an idea of what he thought would sound good, a certain mic he liked using and setting, and I was going to do more production with the click track and everything like that. He said, "Just sit down and play and sing at the same time."
Right.
And he sold me on the fact that it was a more natural feel for that particular song. And it was a song, very vulnerable song about, being afraid in a relationship, that as somebody got to know you, they might see something they don't like and run away. So, very kind of a vulnerable expression of a kind of insecurity most of us have felt at one time or another.
Gotcha. Wes, this was done in a home studio.
Yes.
The song, beautiful work. Kudos to Mick. That's a beautiful job on this. Who do you listen to? Who when you sit down at night and are trying to relax, who blows your hair back? No pun intended.
Well, it really, really varies. Sometimes I'm wanting to hear some newer stuff that I'm just getting acquainted with, or some older stuff that I'm getting reacquainted with. One of the bands a few years ago I started listening to more that I had liked, but hadn't really delved into too much, was The Cure. And I was familiar with some of their radio hits and liked those. But I don't even remember what prompted it, but I started getting into it, getting into some more of their catalog, and I'm always listening to it with earbuds or headphones on too, and trying to get the whole stereo experience and have appreciation for the production. And with Robert Smith's artistry and the way he would create layers, and something very unique about it, it works for me. And so I found myself listening to that obsessively, and that's what I tend to do. I find one artist I'm into lately, and I listen to them, all the time. But there's so many bands. I was in the 2000s. I was aware of a band called Him as a metal band. People probably may know by the heartagram symbol, but Finnish band, and really, again, it was metal, but it was in a similar way to The Cure. It would layer a lot of layers of keyboard and vocal, ethereal sounds, and that combination kind of works for me. I really enjoy sort of the grit of some of the rock, but you smooth it over with some pretty vocals and maybe some keyboard textures, and that kind of stuff just appeals to me. So I was enjoying them there for a while as well. But I'll listen to some of the old blues artists. Today I was listening to Keb Mo, who is going to be at Freeman stage very soon. I just learned. And I can go all the way from, to the songs that I cover. It's funny because the songs I cover, I'm playing all the time, but every now and then I'll go back and listen to them again, usually to see how much I've strayed from the original. But my big thing is sometimes I like to take music that I've listened to death and go back and find a way to make it fresh again for me, especially if there's things I'm going to be performing.
Okay. Now we have a Cure song, don't we?
I believe I sent you one.
It's a live version.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
It's actually from the movie The Crow. It's called Burn.
Great movie, great song. Let's give that a listen to. This is Billy Earl on Delmarvalous Americana, WSDL 90.7. We're here with Wes Davis today, and we're going to spin a little Cure. Okay. Very interesting. Sometimes artists are capable of doing things in a live setting that they just can't do in a studio. I don't know if you call it energy. I don't know if you call it motivation. I'm not sure what you call it, but sometimes is this a good example of that?
Yeah, it's funny because many times in the studio, you have a more controlled environment, so that people often will say, oh, the studio version is more perfect, and so forth. But there are bands that do live performance where there is an energy and a chemistry and whatever, factors came together on that day, at that moment, for that audience, that is captured. And of course, good production is still a part of that. They've got pretty sophisticated recording
Yeah.
going on, even with a live performance like that. But this is one as an example where that version of it, to me, just has an energy and a feeling that I don't hear in the studio version as much. It just doesn't do it for me as well. And you'll find that. I'll do that. I'll find a song I like by a band, and then go on YouTube, and I'll try to find every performance if I can, even covers by other bands. And it's just amazing what, the basics of a song can yield in terms of different interpretations and, presentations.
Okay. Well, look, let's cue up another Wes Davis song. What'd you like to go with now? Hey, Wes, let's listen to "I Miss You," which is off your album. What's the backstory to this song?
Well, that's a very personal song that I actually rarely perform live. It has to be the right setting with people listening. It was a painful topic. I wrote it not too long after my father died, and my father's death was a suicide. And it was, needless to say, traumatic, devastating, kind of thing that was very difficult to really even talk about and know how to grieve. But the song actually starts out with the line, seems a sense of resolution this time must be denied. And some of the chords I'm playing there are suspended chords that aren't finding resolution, which I thought fit well with the idea of there not being
Right.
a
Yeah.
resolution to it. And then it builds from there. But it's just a very personal song, trying to express my sorrow and my longing and some of my feelings about having lost my dad in that way. And of course, I've learned to remember him and his life rather than simply focus on how he died. But this particular song does talk about that.
Okay. Well, let's listen to "I Miss You" by Wes Davis. This is Billy Earl on Delmarvalous Americana, WSDL 90.7. Okay, we're back with Wes Davis. That was a very evocative song. It probably has as much pathos as any song that I've had the pleasure of listening to lately. What would you like to listen to now?
Well, I think we were
Is
talking
"Forever a
about,
Day and a Day" on your list? Oh no, we've already listened to that.
we've done that.
Okay, cut. Hi, this is Billy Earl, and we're back with Wes Davis here on Delmarvalous Americana, 90.7. Wes, that is a highly, highly evocative song. It's a beautiful song. I guess there's a little bit of pain and joy in that song for you.
Sure, yeah. And it was definitely cathartic writing the song. And in the years since I wrote that one, I have been trying to deal with things however I can, and trying to learn how to grieve and going through different stages. But it's a song that it's pretty raw every time I try to go back to it. And like I said, I don't do it very often live unless it's a setting where I think it's the right audience.
Yeah, yeah. It's tough sometimes in a non-concert bar environment to get people to pay attention to what should be the joy of their evening. We have a couple more songs here for you. What would you like to hear next?
You mean one of my songs?
Yeah.
Well, there's one that I sent you from an album called Open Heart. And that was when I mentioned that I had been singing in church. It's an original song, and it's not a highly religious song in the sense of any doctrines or teachings like that, but it's a spiritual song, and it's essentially talking about opening our heart to other people. Life can make you close your heart at times, and I've experienced that, gone through some bitter times. But we live more fully. We can open our hearts so that we can give and receive love, which to me is what spirituality is. And so this is a song about having an open heart.
Okay. I'm a bit confused. Didn't we already do Open Heart?
No.
You sure?
Yeah, we did Fire at the Water's Edge. We did Forever and a
Forever and a
Day.
Day, Open Me, the Cure song, and then I have Open Heart down here.
I mean, I know you saw it in the email, but I don't remember. I didn't do an introduction for it. We didn't talk about it.
Oh, okay. Cut. Then we'll just go ahead and play that, and let's figure that we're on the other side of that. Okay, Open Heart is a spiritual song. It touches me on a couple of different levels. When you play that out in public, what kind of reaction do you get?
Well, I think it's got a pretty good hook.
Yeah, it
actually,
does.
and I think that's the main thing when you're with the audience, especially if it's in a bar setting and people who are either going to get into it or not. It's and it's one I don't do as often as some of the other originals, like Fire at the Water's Edge. I do frequently if I do, and I do have some newer stuff that hasn't been recorded that I've been playing. But the Open Heart, I actually have a friend of mine known for a long time who has just always said that was his favorite song. And I noticed him in a bar one time, and I just started playing the opening melody and chords for it. And I saw him look over at me like I recognized it immediately. And it was it's just nice to know that somebody has connected with a song that you've written and it means something to them. So,
Yeah.
but it also, like I said, I think it has a decent hook and it can draw in people who haven't heard it before.
Okay. When you mentioned Keb Mo a little bit, an incredible artist, songwriter, guitarist, vocalist. I guess you two have a lot in common. What do you think of the way that he writes his songs?
Well, he's just, I mean, it's hard to even imagine because I don't know the process he goes through, but it comes straight from his soul, from his, inside. There's such an authentic blues feeling to it. And sometimes, the simpler lyrics can really move you in a way with the blues that's different than other styles of music. But I do have some stuff that's more bluesy oriented. Actually, there's a song, if you want to play it next, it's called Heat.
Heat. I was just going to say, yeah.
Yeah, which is that's a little bit older of mine. It's funny because I can listen to it like you not only was I younger, but it was in a different studio, and it's amazing how different your voice can sound and how you decide to track it. But it's and I even did lead guitar on it, which I don't always do.
All right.
I'm not in a I'm not a shredder, I'll put it that way, and I'm not a guitar. I'm trying to think of the word I'm looking for. Virtuoso. But when it comes to playing some licks and some leads like that, I can do okay every now and then. And if I record it, it sounds like I knew what I was doing.
There you go. Well, look, let's listen to Heat, and we'll talk about that song on the backside.
All right.
1, 2, 3. Okay. Tell us about those guitar licks.
Oh, I don't know. They're
I think you undersold yourself.
Well, I don't know. I'm not even sure how many takes it took to get what I wanted. But I like I said, I can play a little bit of blues, not great. I think what happens with me is I compare myself to the people I think are really amazing and great, and so I don't always feel like I'm that great. But in a way, it doesn't really matter. If you hear something and you like it, you like it. That's the thing with music. You can sit there and say, "Wow, the amazing artistry or the amazing skill," but at some points, it's just that really sounds good. That's what music is about.
That really sounds good.
To me, it's the less analyzing of it, the better. So I just sort of I play my way around. I'll put it this way: I know the piano keyboard better than I know the guitar fretboard. As far as where I'm going, but I can feel my way around the fretboard a little bit and sometimes make it sound okay.
Okay. Recording and playing in public are both art forms. We're in the post-COVID period of I guess a musician's life. What do you see down the road for Wes Davis?
Well, I just see doing kind of what I've been doing. As I said, with some of the setbacks I've had, I'm very fortunate to be out there doing it. So whenever I play, it's just a different experience for me now. I'm grateful for it, and try to and like I said, I'm in a better state of mind for a lot of reasons nowadays, and I feel like my performances are better. I'm more present and aware in what I'm doing, and I notice audiences are responding to that. As far as I do have some new stuff I'd like to record, and I'm working on that. It might not be till after the summer, but so I'll definitely have some recording. But really, just keep doing what I've been doing as much as I can. I do it for a living, so I have to play a certain amount. But at the same time, playing a certain amount, you get, you just change. When I listen to recordings of myself over the years, I can just see how I've changed in ways that just come from doing it a lot.
Okay.
And trying to do it fresh ways. And I've also gone back to some basics and rudiments of, sometimes I'll listen to beginner stuff on playing guitar and so forth on YouTube, just to say, here's some of the bad habits I had started when I was younger, and maybe I can go back. And because I think it really is important, if you're going to be a musician, really be a musician, that you're always growing, and you're always trying to keep it fresh, but you're always trying to get better. And so I think I'm in a place where I've been doing that more, and it's paying off.
Okay. Young person coming up wants to play an instrument, wants to perform, feels like they can do it. What advice do you give them?
Well, two pieces of advice, actually. And there's, it's, people say, do you, be you. I think authenticity, something that is specifically you, and it's not trying to copy somebody else, is extremely important. If you're learning an instrument, it's good to get a good teacher and learn the rudiments.
Okay.
I talk about being mostly self-taught, but there's a lot of stuff I'm going back and trying to learn now and improve on, that, it would have been nice to have had that foundation at the beginning. So don't get cocky, don't get ahead of yourself, be willing to learn from people. But at the same time, don't let anybody distract you from that particular thing that you have to offer that's you, a style that is just going to get lost if you're trying to be somebody else or trying to be what you think people want to hear. Music is best, and art creation is best when it's just you opening up your heart and soul and letting it flow. And so I'd say that.
Okay. One of the songs that you did send me that I'd like to cue up now is a song called Amnesty. Tell me about the backstory of this.
Oh, well, yeah. And that's just, I believe, just piano and vocal on that. Yeah, that's one sort of a metaphor of getting amnesty. We think that the idea of the amnesty is forgiveness and, canceling debts and that sort of thing. And very often people find themselves in a prison. It's about feeling shame and holding on to shame. And I mentioned before that religion is multifaceted. It can be a religious place can be somewhere where people do get shamed, and there's a lot of fear and shame-based experiences that are unfortunate. And then so becoming liberated from that, sometimes learning how to give yourself grace and forgiveness, and to declare amnesty, that you don't have to, beat yourself up, and you can live more freely.
I really want to thank you for taking the time from your very busy schedule. You're recording, you're playing out. You're just a man about town. Thanks for joining us and sharing what I consider to be the innermost thoughts of a well-traveled and I consider highly successful musician. Thanks again, Wes.
Gazing on the water, spirit captured in its glow, on a silver night that beckons me. a song. And on my neck I feel the breath of love, holy and strong. Mystery is my companion, a heart fulfilled and yet it yearns, even as the water glistens, as fire burns, and time bows its head in surrender, in a place where the moments are one. That I used to remember are undone in the fire at the water's edge. Time bows head in surrender, in the place where the moments are one, and the wounds that I used to remember are undone in the fire at the water's edge.
If you want to hear the songs that we're talking about today, go to Delmarvalous Americana on YouTube. Gracias. This has been Delmarvalous Americana here on YouTube, on PAC 14 in Salisbury, and on NPR on WSDL 90.7. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure and go to Delmarvalous Americana House Concerts on Facebook for a schedule of those live music shows here in Salisbury, Maryland. Enjoy, adios, and namaste.